We won 2 gold medals in 2 different categories and then a silver medal in the 3rd category. And that allowed us to win the overall small chain category in the Golden Bean Roasting Competition.
Welcome to the I Had an Idea podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Here is how it works. You listen, we talk. I know you're busy and you don't owe us your time. We're going to keep things really short, no fluff.
Oh,
We're in the red zone.
Time's up. Next subject.
Joining me, your host, Trent Thompson, are people who not only have ideas, but do them, because the value of an idea lies in the using of it. We start with a segment called Brag, aka Give Yourself Flowers, aka Talk Your Shit, aka Who Even Are You? The guest has a chance to write down their own intro and convince you why the rest of this is worth listening to. If you want to support, I partnered up with Sudi to make the I Had an Idea notebook, so when you have an idea of your own, you don't forget to write it down. Welcome to the podcast.
A drum roll, please. Whoa! Now that's what I call it.
an idea.
Sam is joining me on the podcast today. Sam started a coffee roasting business, roasting on a barbecue grill that was converted to a coffee roaster. He knew very little about roasting coffee and probably less about running a business. He's really proud of the work that he's done, turning a very crude coffee roasting operation into one of the most awarded coffee roasting companies in the U.S. They are currently opening their 4th cafe location, and they operate a world-class bakery and a wholesale roasting business. They recently were overall winners in the small chain roasting category at the Golden Bean Roasting Competition, the largest roasting competition in the world. He's also currently one of the top 10 roasters in the entire United States of America based on his performance at the U.S. Coffee Roasting Championship. Sam is beyond proud of the work that his team and him have accomplished, and they've only just begun. Sam, welcome to the podcast.
It's great to be here. Thanks.
Good to have you. For context, Sam is also my cousin-in-law, and you're going to hear from my cousin on a later episode, Becca. It's been a pleasure being Sam's cousin for the last however many years. So Sam, just to give you a little context about how this will work, we're going to go through 3 main segments, talking about some ideas you've done, tried to do. We try to keep every segment to around 5 minutes. When we hit that magic 5-minute mark, this light is going to turn red. Cam with the cam behind the cam is going to also give us this terrible anxiety-inducing noise, so we know it's time to move on. So we're going to try and keep things quick.
Sounds good.
We're going to jump in with the you talking. Oh, he's going to double check your timing, Cam.
No, I'm going to reference my own. So
Perfect.
I know how to.
Like, I got to. Perfect.
I hate not being able to end.
Gotcha. So yeah, let's dive in and tell us a little bit about some ideas you're proud of. I feel like your intro kind of leads us there perfectly.
Yeah, stuff I'm proud of. I mean, we, like I said, we started off as a really crude roasting operation. So started off, I purchased a coffee roaster from a guy. I didn't even know what a real coffee roaster looked like. So I purchased a barbecue grill from him that roasted coffee.
Can I ask what was the initial idea? Like, how did you know you wanted to do this?
So I had been roasting coffee for myself.
Okay.
So just home roasting on a little hot air popcorn popper. So I guess it was even cruder start than
Gotcha.
that. So a little hot air popcorn popper. I'd roast a third of a cup of coffee at a time and just, use it for personal consumption, and then would hand it out as gifts for friends and family at Christmas time. And, I think Becca and I, my wife, we recall this moment where I came in from roasting coffee and I was like, someday when I retire, like I want to be a coffee roaster, And so that's how things got started. That's where the idea was really born. I have to credit probably my dad for jump-starting it. He brought me the first batch of green coffee that I'd ever seen in my life. I'd only seen roasted coffee. He went to Guatemala and came back with like 10 pounds of green coffee. And we looked at it like, what do we do with this?
What is this? Yeah.
So from there, built my little coffee roasting business out at the farmer's market, did events and pop-ups and that sort of thing. And that turned into a little bit of a larger enterprise, which is now called Theory Coffee. So Theory Coffee, I'm super proud of. So we opened our first cafe about 5.5 years ago, and we're in a small town. And so in a small town, it's really challenging to figure out, how do we get, because I wanted to serve that town really well, but I wanted to be bigger than that town. So we decided we would start competing. We would do coffee roasting competitions. And so most people are actually surprised to hear that there's such a thing,
Yeah.
but there really is. And they're serious to people like me.
Yeah.
And so we started entering, first one we entered was the Golden Bean. And the Golden Bean is where, I source the best coffee that I can possibly find. And I roast it to the best of my abilities. And I submit it alongside of all the other roasters that are doing the same thing. And so the first year we submitted coffees, I was out camping with my son, and I started getting text messages like, congratulations. And I'm like, for what?
Right.
And they were like, you just won the gold medal in the espresso category at the Golden Bean competition. I was like, what? No way. So that first year, we actually did really.
I thought the story was going to be we did the Golden Bean, then we did the Golden Bean again, but you started on top right away.
We started on top, and then, so we've been doing it for 5 years now.
Okay.
So we started on top, and then I, every year I change up my strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So year one I entered like 5 coffees, and we did really well with those 5 coffees. And then year 2, I entered like 15 or 16 coffees. And year 3 I tried the same thing, and year 4 I tried the same thing. And year 2, 3, and 4 were awful for us. So we got all bronze medals. Bronze medals are great, but like 40% of the field gets awarded a bronze medal, right? Only one person in each category gets a gold medal. So the first year we did great. And then, my strategy was just awful for the next 3 years, and I stuck with it thinking that, I was just giving myself a better chance at winning by having like it's a shotgun blast, right? And so this last year we entered 5 coffees. Every single one of them medaled. We won 2 gold medals in 2 different categories and then a silver medal in the 3rd category. And that allowed us to win the overall small chain category in the Golden Bean roasting competition, which is wildly competitive.
Okay.
And so we were the overall winner this year.
How
so
many people are you competing against?
There's over 150 roasters.
Okay.
And there's like 800 coffee entries. So each roaster can submit more than one entry, obviously. So we were the overall winner in the small chain franchise category.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah, and then this last year, I took 6th place at the U.S. Coffee Roasting Championship. So this is a different competition where
Is that the one in Ohio you were telling me about?
No, that was in Portland.
Okay. This is my podcast. I want to keep listening.
All right.
Give me another 2 minutes, Cam.
Yeah, I got it. Take 1 minute. So this is a different competition. Okay. This is probably a little bit more of a high profile competition. So you have to compete in different stages to get into the championship round. So I made it through the stages into the championship round. And in the championship round, every coffee roaster gets the same exact coffee.
Okay.
And so then it's up to the coffee roaster to take that coffee and somehow stand out amongst the other 24 coffee roasters.
All working from the same product.
All from the same product, all from the same roaster.
Okay.
And so in that competition, I took 6th place, which doesn't sound, I wouldn't normally brag about 6th place, but this is 6th in the nation. So this is like
US.
6th best roaster in the U.S. And the guy that took 5th last year took 1st this year. So there's also a component. Yeah, I'm going to do it one more time. Hopefully I'll get into the championship round. I still got to earn my spot. But there's a little bit of learning the competition and figuring out your strategy going forward. So I feel pretty good about doing better than 6th place this year.
That's amazing. So do you feel like, obviously this means the world to you, like you said, to the coffee nerds of the world who get this.
Yeah.
How much do you feel like these awards, your success in the competition, has led directly to your success with your shops? Is it sort of the Michelin star component where, you can kind of advertise that?
Yes, a lot of advertising. It helps locally for sure, but it helps us attract. We also have e-commerce that we run, so we sell our coffee all over the nation. It delivers right to your door.
Okay.
And so it's helped significantly with that. We have seen our sales increase at the shop, but we've also been adding a fair amount of wholesale accounts since winning the Golden Bean. And so what it does is basically, if you think of it this way, I'm building a pedigree
Yeah.
or a resume, right?
I'm gonna use the end of this and transition into, because we're in the red now for those who are just listening via audio. I want to use where we're at and kind of transition into the thing that fell on its face next.
Yeah.
But I want you to continue kind of talking about how you're building the pedigree and the where you're at now with the wholesaling and things like that.
Right. You want me to talk about that?
Yeah,
now?
keep going. Yes.
Yeah. So if you can imagine, there are a lot of coffee roasters out there, but when we're approaching wholesale partnerships, people that we think are going to do a really good job with our coffee, they care about specialty coffee, they want to serve world class coffee, they understand that there's differences in quality between bottom of the barrel all the way up to like really fine coffee. So we're mostly operating in that really fine category. And others are too, but we can go in and we can say, hey, listen, not only are we, sourcing the best coffees in the world, but we're also roasting them in a really great way. Basically. Yeah. So, does that sound like a good product that you'd like to sell to your customers? Do you think your employees would be excited about that?
An easy yes.
Right.
With that, I mean, I know I refer to you as just the coffee guy. I've connected you with a couple people that are doing coffee endeavors. And to me, the pitch that I always get from them in response to talking to you or what you've told me is just that you've been able to, over time, really fine tune everything to figure out whether that's here's how we get our profit margins, here's where we get our beans, here's how we do our roasting, and really, streamline and do all that top notch. I know that you weren't coming out of the womb with all that information. So you want to talk about early on and some of the things that maybe didn't work that well that, maybe you failed forward into what you got.
Yeah. I'll call my fail forward phase. It's a lot of F's and PH's phonetically similar. So anyway, my fail forward phase was my initial company, which I called Scout Coffee, was intrinsically flawed from the very beginning. So I was roasting on the barbecue grill. I knew very little about business, and I bought this coffee roaster and immediately went to the farmer's market. And I was like, can we get into the farmer's market? And so they said yes. So that was the first oh, okay, now we're going to go sell coffee. So now I've got to do branding. I've got to figure all this stuff out. So my philosophy, in a lot of ways in the early stages was, let's put the cart before the horse and then let's let the horse catch up. Right. And so I did that over and over. The branding was awful. The coffee was not great, and then the name Scout, obviously in order to grow a business, you also need a name that can grow.
And SEO is probably not amazing on the word Scout.
SEO is not great. And then, you can't trademark it because the Boy Scouts of America are going to come after you with everything they have.
Did that happen?
You're not going to win.
Did that happen?
No, but there was another company named Scout that we launched at the exact same time. They were a little bit bigger than us. They had some funding behind them, so they launched a little bit bigger. So I got to watch what was going on with their company. They tried to trademark, and Boy Scouts.
We're gonna pivot.
The Scouts came after him, so they had to change. They kept their name for their coffee shop, but for their wholesale side, they had to change it to something different. So, that was a big kind of a false start, but it was a start.
Right.
So that company, we had to shut it down. Basically, we shut that company down, and that turned into Theory Coffee, which we were able to trademark and just get the rights to be able to have free reign in order to be able to build the business.
From a relationship standpoint of because I mean, I obviously know like you have partners, investors in your shops. With Scout, were you able to bring some of those same connections over, or with that fail, did you go find new partners?
I didn't have any investment in Scout.
Okay.
It was just self-funded, bootstrap.
Gotcha.
And with Theory, I had so Scout had it whet my appetite really for growth, and had I'm kind of a competitive at nature kind of guy. So what it did for me was like, how big can I do? How what am I made of? I wanted to test myself. I wanted to test my company. I wanted to see like what we could do. So that's why we had to pivot. But I didn't actually lose. I only gained in losing Scout. So we had some grocery store accounts. They've since transitioned from Scout Coffee to Theory
Amazing.
Coffee. Yeah.
Okay.
So didn't really lose anything.
Stop the alarm, Cam. I guess it's more fun to talk about what you're excited about now. So let's honor this section time and jump into what's getting you up in the morning nowadays. Like, what are you excited about? Where are you growing? What are you looking to pursue? Talk to me about some new ideas you're excited about.
There's two things I'm really excited about. Me and my team, we've been like one of the things that we do quite well, I think, is so our mission statement is to source, roast, and serve world-class coffee in a friendly manner. And so we got the world-class coffee thing down, and we're doing pretty good with the friendly manner, but we all have been leaning into this idea of hospitality as a way to set ourselves apart rather than just leaning on the product to do all of that. So now we're actually creating a role within our company that the person in this role is actually dedicated to just blowing minds. Like that's their whole role in the company.
Okay, give me an example of what that person would do.
So for instance, last week, we had a customer come in and tell us it was their birthday. And so normally they get a free drink or whatever, right? And so one of our baristas leans over to our manager and was like, "Hey, do we have any candles? I want to like put some candles on their pastry and bring it out to them and like do a thing, like make them feel extra special." And so they didn't have any candles. So the manager quickly like hopped in her car, ran down the street, grabbed some candles, came back, lit the candles, brought this like whole thing over to them, just made them feel like extra special. And so it's moments like that, little things like that where it could have easily been, it could have stopped at, "No, sorry, we don't have any candles."
Right.
But she hopped in her car, grabbed the candles.
And that word of mouth is just going to spread.
Yeah,
that's going
it's
to be
like
a newspaper article. That's amazing. Have you seen the show The Bear?
Yeah, episode 7.
That's what everybody were you inspired by that or?
Oh, I was in tears watching that episode.
Which one's 7? Is that the one
Episode
where they
7
go?
is where he stages at the cousin stages.
He goes and picks up the pizza.
Goes and picks up the pizza. That's
because that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, and in that show, I forget the girl's name, the chef. She's reading a book called Unreasonable Hospitality.
Okay.
I just finished that book yesterday, also basically in tears, because of how transforming hospitality has been to the restaurant's called 11 Madison Park, and they were voted the number one restaurant in the world. They started off not even on the list, and then worked their way up to number one. That book? Yeah, okay. Danny Guiadara, I can't remember exactly how to pronounce his name, or no, Will Guiadara. And so, yeah, me and my team are all in the middle of that book. So that's one thing I'm really excited about is just, so many times baristas are just like, "Oh, I'm so good at this coffee and I'm a connoisseur," and they make you feel like you're inconvenienced, right? Who cares, right? Who cares how good you are at it? How good can you treat people? How much can you, make someone's day? Like at what end will you go to, to make somebody's day? And so that's
That's
it's
amazing.
not for marketing, but it is also one of the best places you could ever put money into your company. is
So when you're putting
hospitality.
money into your company, are you hiring somebody specifically with that task? Are they coming with other? I imagine they have some other
Yeah.
tasks as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
they'll have some other tasks, but they might have to knock out some dishes or
Right.
clean some tables, but they'll
I
also
was gonna
be
say,
out.
like, if you're hiring, that sounds like a good job. So
Yeah,
to any listener who you want to just go hang out and blow people's minds,
exactly.
that's
Yeah,
a cool gig.
come see me.
You had another one that you wanted to talk about? That
Yeah,
you're excited about?
we're also in another growth mode. So we're opening our fourth cafe. It'll be in November, and then the growth move for us is onboarding new wholesale partnerships. So in order to make the company, as you're building your company, you're like, okay, what do we focus on next? Well, our next focus is on wholesale partnerships. So that's where we roast coffee and sell it to
Right.
cafes or restaurants and that sort of thing. And then they resell it or share it with their customers. And so that may require moving into a larger market. Like I said, we're in a smaller market, and our reach into larger markets is proving to be difficult. So what we're looking at now is putting a cafe and a roastery in a larger market, possibly in this area, actually, in
We're in
the Bay
Oakland,
Area.
for
Yeah.
context. All right, so I feel like this next segment, I call this the surprise segment. We're in the red for those on audio. Before we jump into it, I think the hospitality thing seems really inspiring. I feel like there's a lot of people can learn from that, and yeah, obviously, like the wholesale thing, I think is super interesting. There's so many different ways, I think, to leverage coffee. I hear from so many people that coffee is a tough industry to be in. So I feel like you being someone who's figured out how to make that work, that knowledge is so incredibly valuable to people. So I'm going to make up this segment. I'm going to call it rapid fire business strategy round. Cam's going to cue some dramatic lighting for us. I'm going to give you, Cam's going to do a little countdown. We'll do a minute, and I want you to rapid fire as many different coffee money-making strategies as you can, as many different like business model coffee money-making things as you can. And we're going to start it now.
Okay, so I have a minute. So subscriptions are popular right now. I am, in a relationship, but through competitions with a lot of fantastic roasters, so award-winning coffee roasters. In addition, award-winning producers. So these are the growers of the coffee. There is no subscription currently that pairs award-winning roasters with award-winning coffee producers, and that's the coffee that you get every single week. So that you have the best coffee roasted by the
There's
best
no
roaster.
top-end subscriptions.
No top-end subscription like this. So that's one thing. The other idea that I had was, so most roasters have headroom on their roasting equipment. So let's say I can roast 2,000 pounds a week, and I'm only roasting 1,000 pounds a week.
Right.
Well, if you started a company that was functioned more like a logistics company, and
Let me finish this one.
and could create blends and drop ship beans to all these roasters that have headspace on their roaster for all these wholesale accounts that they could potentially have in their area, and we can white label for large companies that don't have their own line of coffee. Our test case was Black Bear. There's a Black Bear in this area. Black Bear Diner now has over 100 locations, and they started in Reading, where we're from, and they don't have their own coffee brand. So, if you could go to your Black Bear, and if you really enjoyed the coffee, you could purchase retail coffee for your own home. And there's 1,000 of those chains.
Yeah.
And so if you just were able to grab these roasters that have headroom on their roasters.
That's amazing. So you guys are currently in Black Bear. So if I go get a coffee at a Black Bear,
no, we're not in Black Bear.
Okay.
But hey, Bruce Dean.
That's a Black Bear guy.
Yeah, hook us up.
You heard it here. I think I'll give you 2 points, which means absolutely nothing, but we got 2 ideas out of that minute. So just ending, Sam, tell everybody where they can find you, how they can help, what you're building, what you want them to look up. Give us some links and all that.
Yeah, so you can go to theorycoffee.com if you want to order our award-winning coffees and have them delivered right to your house. Doesn't matter where you live, where you're listening to this at. You can go to our Instagram, which is Theory Coffee Roasters, and I think those are the two main places that you should look for us at.
Check them out. We'll put some links in the description or bio, wherever you're watching or listening to this. Sam, it's been awesome to have you on. Thank you. I'm excited to talk to your wife next. This has been great.
Yeah, thanks. Super fun.
Now that's what I call it.
An idea.
Idea.
Idea.